Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alexa. This is Out of Debt with Lex. It's your girl, Lex. You're seeing my face. It's crazy. I have my face on my other channels, but I haven't had my face on this channel yet, except for my little profile picture. So you are seeing my beautiful face. Thank you. Thank you. I know. Anyways, today we are talking about the 75-day money challenge. Do I recommend it? Do I feel good? I did it. I completed the 75-day money challenge, and I've been talking about it for a while, I feel like, because when I made my goals this year, I actually put it as one of my goals to complete this challenge. I also had a little tracker in my finance notebook where I kind of kept track of every day that I actually did everything on the list. And now I'm sharing with you what is the 75-day money challenge, my thoughts on it, my take on it as well, because I didn't do it exactly the way he said to do it. I just kind of altered it to how I wanted to do it. So we're going to kind of go through all the things, and at the end I'm just going to kind of give a summary whether I thought it improved my overall money mindset or if it just really didn't. And I'm going to say if I recommend it or not. So without further ado, let's get into it. Got to drink my coffee first. I have a lot of notes written down, so if you see me looking down, it's because I keep checking my notes to make sure I know what I'm saying. So first of all, you might be wondering, what is the 75-day money challenge? Where did it come from? How did I hear this concept? Basically, I became obsessed at the end of last year with a podcast called the Personal Finance Podcast. If you haven't heard it, it has a lot of great advice. And basically every year, especially in January, I believe, every year they kind of restart and do this 75-day money challenge. And it's kind of their take on the 75 hard, if you've heard of that. That's like a fitness thing, very difficult challenge, except he made it finance related and kind of improving your personal finance skills and knowledge and overall comfortability with personal finances. I'm going to go through his list of what you need to do to complete this challenge. But also for each kind of bullet point on the list, I'm going to say what I did, what I liked, what I changed, if I did anything different, or also my results from this, because some of these are kind of results based almost. If you are participating in this challenge, first thing you do is writing down your money goals. So I did this. This is my old one. I actually just took this out of my personal finance planner. But I created a list in December of my goals and kind of what I wanted to see for myself in the next 6 months to a year. And it actually was really beneficial to actually sit down and write down exactly what I wanted. I think giving that clear vision of where you're headed is super beneficial, especially writing it down on paper, putting it somewhere where you're going to see it a lot. I think is really beneficial. So definitely recommend. I'm a big goals person, so surprise, surprise, I loved this part of it. And I did that in my planner, so works really great for me. And the second step of your 75-day money challenge is to dream up your perfect day or your perfect reality, what you kind of imagine for yourself in the future, kind of surrounding money, in around money, if that makes sense. So for me, for example, I've always, for the past couple of years, had a lot of stress and anxiety around money. I feel like I just didn't feel very comfortable around it. I felt like I was uneducated compared to my peers. I did take personal finance in high school, I think. The only thing I really remember learning from it was how to balance a checkbook, which I don't do. And I did... I understood accounting really well. I understood checks and balances and how to make things balance out, what your expenses are. I understood a lot of the big concepts like that because I did take classes on those. But when it came down to personal finance, I did not know what a 401k was. I did not know what a Roth IRA was. I didn't know the difference. I was very bad with my credit cards from the second that I got them. I tried to learn and then I'd mess up more, and I tried to learn and I mess up more, and I didn't understand why I was messing up all the time. And so I've always had this really big stress and anxiety around even learning about money because I felt like I was so far behind. But anyways, in my dream reality, I have no stress about money because I know that I know everything, or I can learn anything that I need to know that I don't currently know. I imagined a world where I can make my money work for me instead of me working to pay my debts. Because right now, and in the past especially, money goes towards my credit card bills, and my credit card bills go up, and then I have to pay more money towards them. And it just was like a constant cycle of the same crap over and over. But in my dream reality, my dream world, no stress about money. I don't work to pay my debts. I work to pay for travel or visiting my husband's family or going on a road trip, or there's so many different things, like paying for, like, if I want a new outfit, I don't have to stress about it breaking the budget. I also think a world where I'm owning a home, like I live in an apartment with my daughter and a baby on the way, and I hate living in an apartment. I hate it. So having this very clear vision actually was also really beneficial because it gave me something to think about as well, because I found myself pondering this often during the 75-day money challenge. I don't know. For me, it was just like really beneficial just to kind of walk myself through like my perfect day or my perfect reality, and kind of seeing that as like the goal. Like the long-term goal is to feel this way, to do these things, to be in this place. So definitely liked that part as well. Number 3 is when we actually got down to like the nitty gritty, I feel like, because number 3 was automating your finances. Basically, if you're not automated, taking everything and making sure that it is automated. So I was not automated, and this actually took quite a while. It took me like a full month probably. I did half in one month and half in the next month, but once I got it done, I've never had automated finances, let me say. And when I've had like 1 or 2 bills that were automated before, and it went so poorly, so poorly. I didn't know how to manage it. I like didn't know when to have the money there and when to pull it out. And it was a nightmare zone. But I must say, I have loved having my money automated. It gives me so much time that I don't have to deal with paying my bills. I've enjoyed it immensely. I recommend that everyone does it, but that is the number 3 thing to do in your list of things to do during the 75-day money challenge. Number 4, budget. You got to have a budget. You got to figure it out, a budget. If you don't budget, you got to figure it out. So for me, I actually trialed a couple of different things. So some of the suggestions made by him are the app YNAB, YNAB, doing it on paper, Google Sheets, the reverse budget, cash stuffing. There's a lot of different ways to budget. And I did try YNAB, and I really didn't like it. I tried it for about a month, and I found myself like I would ignore it. I wouldn't move my money around it. I didn't understand how it was working. But then I was kind of into the cash stuffing system at that point. I was like, these videos are pretty good. I like these videos. And once I tried that, I feel like I fell in love. Like, I feel like this is the system made for me. Like, I am such a planning girl. I love the idea that like there's envelopes that have money in them. So like if I need to take my dog to the vet, I will have money. Like that's where I kind of found my place in the budgeting world. I think that everyone's really different. For some people, this cash budgeting system would never work. Like it would not be for them. And so my recommendation for this is to find something that works for you, something that fits with your personality, your likes, your dislikes, and something that you're actually going to use. But I do think it's really important to have a budget. I know it's like a trigger word or whatever, like people really don't like to use it, but definitely find one if you don't have one. Number 5 is to track your net worth. So basically on January 1st, I got this app called Empower. And it's really easy. You basically connect all of your accounts to it, and it kind of tracks your net worth in the background. So on January 1st, my overall net worth, it takes all of the things that bring up your net worth, all the things that bring down your net worth, and kind of figures out your numbers. So if you have like a lot of debt, you might be like super in the negatives. If you have a lot of money in savings or in retirement or whatever, you might be super in the positives. And I combined my husband and myself, all of our accounts together, everything, to get our overall net worth as a couple. And our overall net worth on January 1st was $7,985.82. So it was positive despite all my debt. I have enough in my retirement that it kind of like evens out. But yeah, still positive. not a great number, like $8,000 basically, but it's still positive. And I was very intrigued with this step in particular because I was taking my number on January 1st and I was taking my number on March 15th, which was the end of my 75-day money challenge. And granted, things changed for me during that time. Like I got my bonus at work, I got a tax refund, state refund, federal refund, like things changed. So like I was able to pay off a lot more debt than I normally would have. But I'm happy to report that my current net worth is $14,094.09, which is a difference of $6,108.27. So my net worth actually did go up during this time period by about $6,000. So I don't know if that's to say whether it's worth it or it's a good thing to do this 75-day money challenge, but my net worth did improve. I must say I was impressed because I didn't really expect to see that number move very much. And I do think the podcaster who does this podcast only recommends that you check your net worth like once or twice a year, like not very often. Just every once in a while, check in, see if you've improved, see if things are going well, what you might need to change on like a bigger picture scale. But yeah, I did find it very interesting to see where my net worth was compared to how it is. So I'm definitely going to be checking in on this maybe once a year for me, like in January, check, see how I'm doing. But this app is really great. Definitely recommend. I really enjoyed getting to see my net worth go up. So definitely recommend. The number 6 thing was to read daily. I think he said read 15 pages a day or read 15 minutes a day, something like that. But I actually modified this one. So this was one of the ones I modified. I modified this to the wording of educate myself daily instead of read. And I mostly did read. I actually read a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. The guy who wrote it actually did that Netflix series. It might be called the same thing actually, but I had heard of the Netflix series and that's why I chose that book. I finished it. I really enjoyed it. I actually learned a ton from it and I really do recommend it. But also changing the wording to educate myself daily meant that like some days when I work a 12-hour day, I'm exhausted. Instead of reading my book at the end of the day, I would listen to a podcast during my day. Or I'd watch a YouTube video on my break all about personal finance. Like I feel like the act of educating myself was sufficient enough for me. He does recommend to read, and I think reading is great. And I did read a whole book, but at the same time, I really like that I had some flexibility there. I would recommend the whole educate yourself method myself because sometimes you're just like on the go, you don't have time, you're exhausted, your eyes hurt, whatever. But listening to a podcast takes like barely any effort and you just listen. It's easy. Or like watching a video, it could be like a 10-minute educational finance video. And so I liked that a lot. And I feel like I actually learned like a ton from all of those methods. Number 7 was to move. He talked a little bit when he actually has an episode all about the 75-day money challenge. And during that episode, he talks a little bit about how generally people who are healthier physically are actually healthier with their money as well. He talked about like the fact that like almost every millionaire works out a ton and like he has actual statistics. I don't have statistics, y'all, but he has statistics. And I kind of agree. I kind of think when I'm in a healthier mindset, I am moving my body more. For me, this was one of the only things of the entire list where I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna push myself there. I'm currently almost 30 weeks pregnant at this point, but I've been so on again, off again, sick. I've had this back hip injury. Like I am not feeling my best. So the idea of like making myself move every day when I'm having like a lot of back hip pain and I'm very pregnant, it's very good to be healthy when you're pregnant. Don't get me wrong, but your girl's having some pains. So I didn't do this one, but I can see so much what the benefit of this one would be. If you move yourself 20 minutes daily, even if it's just like a 20-minute walk outside, like I think that if you are able to, and if you enjoy doing that type of thing, you might see a really good benefit mentally, emotionally, physically, all the things. If you do take this one on as well, I would love to. It's just kind of like the stage of life that I'm in. It's not happening for me right now, but I think it's really smart. And I think if you are planning on trying this challenge, you should try it out. Okay, we only got two left, two steps. Number 8 is a big step though. 8 is like the biggest step, which I feel like is so helpful and educational, especially to me. So the creator of the Personal Finance Podcast actually has a tool that he uses and that he gives out for free. It's called the Stairway to Wealth. Basically, it's a way of seeing kind of like where you are in your finance journey and kind of where you are going and what your next step is. It kind of like uses the analogy of like flights of stairs and different steps on the stairway to get you where you need to go in your money journey and like get you to be better. Does that make sense? So I really like this kind of thought process of like knowing what my next step is, knowing where I've came from and what I've completed, and knowing that there's kind of these different flights of stairs. So for me, I'm in flight 1. There's 3 flights of stairs. I'm in flight 1. And flight 1 is all about the basics, kind of. Like it's a lot of getting that like initial foundation set up for yourself. So I'm going to go through the steps kind of and tell you which one I'm on currently. So first step is like your very, very basics, like having a budget, automating your money, making sure your accounts are set up. Like you have a bank account, a savings account, a high yield savings account, having insurance, having health insurance, having like car insurance if you drive a car. The very, very, very basics. That's step 1 of flight 1. Step 2 is a cash buffer. So step 2 is having some sort of emergency savings, whatever that number might be for you at the time. For me, my goal was $1,000 in a savings account, kind of separate from my accounts. And I currently do have that. So that was step 2. Step 3, at the point where you have emergency savings, is to make sure that you're getting an employer match if your employer offers one. Normally, I believe most employers do for your 401k. Could be like 2%, 3%, 5%, 6%. Like it could be any sort of percentage match to what you put into your 401k. So definitely check out if your employer has one. For me, my employer does match, so I have that already. So that's good. Number 4, this is the step that I'm currently on, and it's paying down high interest debt. So for me, this whole channel, if you haven't watched my whole channel has a lot to do with debt, y'all. Like it's all about kind of my husband and I, we've gotten ourselves into like over $90,000 of debt, and we're slowly working it down. We're in the 80,000s now. So we're getting there. But that's where we're kind of at. And it specifically kind of calls out high interest debt, not like the low interest debt. If you have like a car that has like a 2.5% interest rate, like don't worry about it. But if you have something like 20% interest, 25% interest, 29% interest, like definitely pay that down. So that's a step I'm on. And I'm going to be on it for quite some time, not going to lie. But it is the step I'm on. The last step of this flight of stairs is a 6-month emergency fund. So basically taking that emergency savings and making it into an emergency fund. So the way he describes to do this step is kind of just, figure out what your monthly expenses are, your minimum to live off of. Let's say it's like $2,000. Then multiply by 6. That's your 6-month emergency fund. So I definitely can see myself, like, especially after we pay down this debt, like, I definitely want to have an emergency fund in place. We have had several different emergencies that have caused us to go into debt. So the fact that we don't have one, it rests heavy on my mind, okay? So I definitely agree with all of these steps. And that's flight 1. Not really going to talk about flight 2 and flight 3 as much. Flight 2 is basically growing your wealth. And then flight 3 is all about kind of like making that like generational wealth, or that wealth that will last beyond you for your kids and for your family and all that kind of thing. So if you want to check it out, like I said, I will leave his podcast and also his website down below. So if you want to check it out, definitely check it out. And number 9, the final step of the 75-day money challenge is getting an acorns account. So if you haven't heard of acorns, it's kind of this investing app that invests the pennies on your dollar. So let's say I go to the grocery store and I buy something for like $31.99 and that's the total price I pay. They'll take that 1 penny and invest it. If I pay like $2.50 for something, then they'll take the 50 cents, invest it. That's kind of the way it works. It's taking all of your extra spare change and investing it instead of just like leaving it in your account. It did take me a few weeks to get it set up because A, I got confused on how to set it up, but B, like I had to connect my account and figure out how to do everything. I got very confused, but it did take me a few weeks. So I started out with $0 in there, obviously. Now I have $17.10, but that money is very much so like, it's only accumulated probably over the last 2 months, month and a half-ish, maybe. So it's not a lot, but it's just my spare change. So it's not like it was doing anything else. And it already is growing by like 2.75%. When you choose to do acorns, it kind of gives you some options. You can choose to just invest your pennies, like the things that add up to a whole dollar. You can choose to add an extra dollar for every time this happens. You could have automatic transfers. So like maybe once a month you transfer over $50 or something. I just did the roundups. So it's just my pennies and they're just accumulating. And then it also has you do a questionnaire, which kind of like assesses your risk tolerance, to determine what kind of your balance of like stocks versus bonds versus all the things that they can invest in, what they want to invest in for you. So that was nice as well. I liked it. I will be keeping it up. Like I $17 isn't a lot, but I want to keep it up for the full year and kind of see if it actually adds up to anything for me. I'm not really sure if it will. We'll see. I'm very curious. And that is it for the 75-day money challenge. My thoughts. I actually really enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot about finances, especially from like the educate yourself portion. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like the idea of utilizing the stairway to wealth is really good for me, especially like kind of knowing like, oh, I actually have done a lot more than I thought. Like, cause I feel like drowning in debt, I'm like, oh man, like I just am at the bottom. Like I am lower than low. But when I think about it, like I have like, yes, I have insurance. I have car insurance. I have a savings account, a checking account, automatic bills now. Like I have automatic bills. I have a 401k that has money in it, that has money going to it. I'm getting a match, so that's free money. Like I feel like it really did give me some perspective on like where I'm at, what I'm looking forward to. Like the emergency fund situation, like that's coming next. So yeah, I really just, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I don't know. I thought the whole challenge was really beneficial and it's given me some tools in my day-to-day life, in my future financial life where I can kind of pull from, where I didn't really have those before. So I actually really did enjoy it. I would recommend it for a friend. If you're watching this video because you're considering doing it, I definitely think you should try it. There's no harm in trying it. I do think it would be beneficial for pretty much everyone, even somebody who doesn't have a lot of debt like me. Like I feel like you can definitely learn from this whole process and just the educating yourself, moving, automating everything. Like there's so many good steps in here that are really beneficial. So definitely recommend. You should check it out if you haven't yet. Overall, thumbs up. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this face-to-face video. If you want, we can do some more. But I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.